What if I told you that there was an NHL goalie who outplayed everyone on the ice with stunning saves that left fans speechless, and an incredible ability to steal games when it mattered most? Ed Belfour was truly one of the greatest goalies in NHL history, and his highlights are honestly some of the best you'll ever see. But how did he become a Hall of Fame goalie while overcoming challenges off the ice? And why did teams keep trusting him despite everything? Before we get into it, make sure to hit like and subscribe. These videos take countless hours of research and editing, and your support means everything. It helps keep stories like this alive. Well, to find out, we have to go back to 1987. A small town kid from Carman, Manitoba was about to change hockey forever. Ed, whose family lived in a tiny farming town of just 3,000 people, thanks to the fact that his father worked at the local grain elevator, Habay Carbold, had developed into one of the nation's top goalies. The hours he spent alone in the local rink were crucial. He would go in there for 3 or 4 hours just working on his technique, practicing his butterfly style, and perfecting his glove saves. Never really taking a break for 3 or 4 hours. He'd been there all by himself, developing a style that no one had ever seen before. Ed Belfour grew up in Carman, Manitoba, a place so small that everyone knew everyone else's business. His dad worked long hours at the grain elevator, and hockey was pretty much the only thing to do during those brutal Canadian winters. But Ed wasn't like the other kids who dreamed of scoring goals and getting all the glory. No, he wanted to be the guy who stopped them. The local rink in Carman was nothing fancy, just concrete walls, old wooden benches, and ice that wasn't always perfectly smooth. But for Ed, it was like his personal training ground. While other kids were at home watching TV or playing video games, Ed would drag his equipment to that rink and work on his craft. His unique ability to read the game was already showing. "I could see plays developing before they happened," Ed once said. "I knew where that puck was going before the shooter even knew." What made Ed different from other goalies was his fire. Most goalies back then just stayed in their crease and hoped for the best. But Ed, he was aggressive. He would come out to challenge shooters, he'd yell at his own teammates when they made mistakes, and he had this intense stare that could make opposing players nervous. His temper was legendary, even as a teenager. During one junior game, Ed got so mad at a referee's call that he skated to center ice and started arguing. The ref gave him a penalty, but Ed didn't care. That's just who he was. But being from a tiny town like Carman had its problems. NHL scouts weren't exactly making regular trips to watch hockey in rural Manitoba. Ed played for his high school team and dominated every game, but no one outside of his little town seemed to notice. College scouts would drive right past Carman to watch players in Winnipeg or other bigger cities. Ed was getting frustrated. He knew he was better than goalies who were getting scholarships, but he couldn't prove it to anyone who mattered. The breakthrough almost didn't happen. Ed was 18 years old and still hadn't gotten a single offer from any major junior team. His friends were starting to talk about getting real jobs, and even his parents were wondering if hockey was just a dream. But then, a scout from the University of North Dakota happened to be driving through Manitoba and decided to stop at a random high school game. That scout watched Ed make save after save, including one incredible glove grab that left the entire crowd on their feet. After the game, the scout approached Ed's parents. "Your son," he said, "has something special. We want him in North Dakota." It was the chance Ed had been waiting for his whole life. Finally, someone outside of Carman had noticed what everyone in his hometown already knew. Ed Belfour was going to be something special. At the University of North Dakota, Ed Belfour wasn't just good. He was absolutely dominant. In his first season, he posted a ridiculous 2.37 goals against average, which is 15 dans stade gauge, which means opposing teams could barely score on him. But it was during the 1986 NCAA tournament that everyone realized they were watching something special. In the championship game against Michigan State, Ed faced 42 shots and stopped 40 of them. One save in particular had the entire arena going crazy. A sprawling glove save where he dove across the crease and somehow got his glove on a shot that was already crossing the goal line. His teammates couldn't believe what they were seeing. "Ed would make saves that shouldn't be possible," said his defenseman Mike Peluso. "We'd mess up, leave a guy wide open, and Ed would just bail us out like it was nothing." Ed's college coach, John Gino Gasparini, had coached goalies for 20 years, but he'd never seen anything like this kid from Manitoba. Ed didn't just stop pucks, Gasparini said, he attacked them. But here's where things get interesting. Despite being the best college goalie in America and winning pretty much every award possible, Ed wasn't drafted by any NHL team. Not a single one. Teams thought he was too small at 5'11" and too aggressive for the professional game. They said his style wouldn't work against NHL shooters. Ed was crushed, but he used that rejection as fuel. "Fine," he told his dad over the phone. "I'll show them they made a mistake." The Chicago Blackhawks finally gave him a chance as an undrafted free agent in 1987. His first NHL games came the following season, and like many rookies, he faced challenges adjusting to the pace and pressure of the league. Ed's goalie coach in Chicago, Vladislav Tretiak, a legend who had played for the Soviet Union, saw something different. In practice, "This kid stops everything," Tretiak told the coaches. "Give him another chance." That second chance came against the Edmonton Oilers, the most explosive offensive team in the NHL at the time. This was the team with Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Yari Curry. Ed rose to the occasion, showing why he belonged in the league. After the game, Gretzky himself skated over to Ed and said, "Kid, you're going to be special in this league." That was the moment Ed knew he belonged. But success came with challenges. Ed's temper, which had been manageable in college, started getting worse in the NHL. During his second season, tension sometimes flared during practice. Teammates were shocked by his intensity. Veterans like Denis Savard tried to calm him down, but Ed was furious about everything. Bad calls, poor defense, even losing in practice scrimmages. By 1990, Ed was becoming one of the best goalies in the world. He won his first Vezina trophy as the league's best goalie with a 2.47 goals, against average and 4 shutouts. But he was also starting to develop a reputation for being difficult. He would argue with referees, yell at teammates, and sometimes refuse to talk to reporters after losses. Chicago's management loved his play, but worried about his attitude. Then came the 1992 playoffs, where Ed truly announced himself as an elite goalie. In the first round against St. Louis, he faced a barrage of shots and made incredible saves that kept the Blackhawks alive. Blues captain Brett Hull, one of the greatest goal scorers ever, acknowledged Belfour's incredible vision and skill in traffic. Ed's aggressive style was changing how goalies played. Instead of staying deep in their crease like traditional goalies, Ed would come way out to challenge shooters. He'd poke check forwards who got too close, and he'd even fight players if they crashed into him. Other goalies around the league started copying his style. "Ed showed us that goalies don't have to be passive," said Patrick Waugh, another Hall of Fame goalie. "We can be aggressive and take control of the game." Off the ice, Ed faced the pressures that come with being a star. He once told a teammate, "Everyone expects you to be perfect. One bad game and they want to trade you. One mistake off the ice and you're a villain." Despite the warnings from his team, Ed worked hard to manage the stress and keep his focus on the game. The crazy part? None of this affected his play on the ice. In 1995, Ed had one of the greatest individual seasons by any goalie ever. He won his second Vezina trophy with a 2.28 goals against average and 5 shutouts. In one stretch, he won 11 games without allowing more than 2 goals. Opposing teams were getting so frustrated trying to score on him that some coaches would change their entire game plan just to deal with Belfour. But the off-ice incidents were sometimes a distraction. Chicago's general manager, Bob Pulford, expressed concern about the drama surrounding Ed. "We can't keep cleaning up your messes," he told Ed. "You're the best goalie in the world, but you're becoming more trouble than you're worth." Teams around the league were watching this situation closely. They knew Ed was incredible between the pipes, but they also knew he came with baggage. The question everyone was asking was simple: is it worth dealing with all the drama to get a goalie who can single-handedly win you games? For most teams, the answer was still yes. Ed Belfour was just too good to pass up, no matter what happened off the ice. When Chicago finally got fed up with his behavior in 1997, they traded him to San Jose. The Sharks knew about his temperament, but figured they could handle one difficult player if it meant getting an elite goalie. When San Jose got tired of the drama, they traded him to Dallas in 1999. Each team thought they would be the one to finally straighten him out. The Dallas Stars management had a long meeting before acquiring Ed. They knew exactly what they were getting into. "We're not just trading for a goalie," Stars owner Tom Hicks told his staff. "We're trading for a guy who might win us a Stanley Cup, but he might also be a handful." It was a calculated risk, but they decided Ed's talent was worth the headache. The media coverage was relentless. Every time Ed went out in public, reporters would follow him. Every bar he visited became a potential news story. Some journalists would literally stake out his favorite restaurants, waiting for something to happen. Ed felt like he was living in a fishbowl. "I can't even go get a beer without someone writing a story about it," he complained to a close friend. Despite the pressures and distractions, Ed was able to compartmentalize. 3 days after a tough loss, he was back between the pipes, stopping shots and leading his team. His teammates were amazed at how he could focus. "Eddie could have his whole world falling apart off the ice," said Stars forward Mike Modano. But once he put on that mask, he was locked in like nothing else mattered. Off the ice, Ed faced challenges managing the pressures of being a star athlete. He once told a teammate, "Everyone expects you to be perfect. One bad game and they want to trade you. One mistake off the ice and you're a villain." Despite warnings from his team, Ed worked hard to manage the stress and keep his focus on the game. By 1999, Ed was still considered one of the top 3 goalies in the NHL. General managers around the league would privately admit they'd trade for him in a heartbeat if they could. "You don't pass up that kind of talent," one GM said anonymously. "You just hope you can keep him focused long enough to win something." That something was about to be the biggest prize in hockey. Despite the challenges and negative headlines, Ed Belfour was about to prove that when it really mattered, he was still the best goalie on the planet. The Dallas Stars were heading into the 2000 playoffs with a goalie who was unbeatable between the pipes. The stage was set for Ed to either finally crack under all the pressure or to vindicate every team that had ever taken a chance on him. As the playoffs began, one thing was certain. With Ed Belfour in net, you never knew what was going to happen next. Ed Belfour didn't just play goalie, he redefined it. His aggressive style, fearless positioning, and fiery attitude changed how netminders approached the game. Before him, goalies stayed back and played it safe. After him, they attacked, challenged, and played with fire. Ed showed the hockey world that chaos and greatness could live in the same crease. He finished his career with 484 wins, a Stanley Cup, 2 Vezina trophies, and a Hall of Fame induction, even after facing personal challenges. Because when the puck dropped, Belfour was locked in like nobody else. Coaches knew it, players knew it, and teams kept calling because no matter what happened off the ice, Ed delivered on it. So why did teams keep taking the risk? Because greatness like his is rare. And sometimes the edge that makes you elite is the same one that causes everything else to fall apart. Which brings us back to the question, can you separate what an athlete does on the ice from what they do off it? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you made it this far, hit like and subscribe. These videos take countless hours of research and editing, and your support keeps them going. Thanks for watching.